Hello Prealgebra students, this is lesson 20, and in today's lesson we're going to be working with triangles, being able to classify them, find angle measures, and find the area of them. So let's start off with classifying them. There's two different ways we can classify them, either by the angle measure or by their side lengths. So when we're classifying by angle measure, there's three different options. Either acute, where all three angles in the triangle are acute. Right, meaning there's going to be one of the angles is going to have a right angle in it. And obtuse, which means one of the angles is going to be obtuse. Now in right and obtuse, the other two angles will be acute. So this is an acute angle, that's an acute angle. But if it has one obtuse angle, then we call it an obtuse triangle. If it has one right angle, then we call it a right triangle. If we're classifying by side, there's three different options. Equilateral, which means all three sides are the same. And a side note on that, if all three sides are the same, that means all three angles will be the same. And then the next one is isosceles. This is when we have at least two sides that are the same. So like this side and this side length are the same. And that also means that these two angles down here will be the same. Okay. And then if it doesn't have all three sides the same, doesn't have at least two sides are the same, the last option would be that if none of the sides are the same, and we call that scaling. So let's try that real quick. Classify each triangle by angles and sides. So let's look at this A here. First of all, I notice that one of them is a right angle and the other two are acute. So this is going to be a right triangle. And I'm looking at the side lengths. That's by angle, I'd say right. And I'm looking at all three sides, and none of them look to be the same. So this would be a right scaling. Looking at B, I notice that all three angles are the same, and also that all three sides are the same. So that means this is going to be an equilateral if I'm classifying it by sides, and since all three angles are 60, that means they're all less than 90, which means they're all acute. This would be an acute equilateral. This last one here, I'm noticing that these two side lengths are the same. Those two angles appear to be acute, but this one appears to be obtuse. So this would be an obtuse isosceles. Alright, so now that we kind of got classifying down, let's make this important to note. You may have heard this before already, but all three angles in a triangle add up to 180 degrees. Again, all three angles in a triangle add up to 180. So if we were to add all three of the angles in a triangle, they always add up to 180. Make sure that you know this. If you need to put it in your quick references, do that. But it would probably be even better to memorize it. Okay. So since I'm missing an angle over here on A, it says find the missing angle. I know that 95 plus 30 plus whatever that one is should add up to 180. So that's what I'm going to write. I'm going to say 95 plus 30 plus, I'm just going to call it x, is equal to 180. Well, it's going to be 125 plus x is equal to 180. Solving this for x, I'm going to subtract the 125 from both sides. I'll have x is equal to 55 degrees. So that missing angle in here is going to be 55 degrees. Okay. Now same idea here on this other one, but notice what kind of triangle this is. This is a isosceles. And remember, if these two side lengths are the same, then these two angles are the same. Right? Normally, if we didn't have that little trick, we wouldn't be able to find it because we have two angles that we're missing. But since we know this trick, that means this one over here must also be 70. So now I know 70 plus 70, that's the other one I found, plus something, I'll call it y this time, is equal to 180. So all three angles, I'm calling this one up here y, add up to 180. 70 plus 70 is 140. Plus y is equal to 180. Subtract the 140. We get y is equal to 40. So this angle up here is 40 degrees. That one's 70 degrees. Alright, now let's talk about finding the area of triangles. Remember back, if you have the area of a triangle, the area of a rectangle, you just multiply the base times the height. The base times the height, so just b times h. So let's just look at this triangle right here for a second. And I'm going to get another one just exactly like it. Almost. Just exactly like it. And I'm going to take this one, and hopefully, if it'll let me here, spin it around. And set it on top. Okay, there we go. That was pretty painful. Well, notice now that I have made a rectangle. So if I wanted to find the area of this one, I would need to multiply this base times the height, right? The base times the height. But notice that would give me the area of two triangles. I only need the area of one of them. So I would need to take the area, base times height, and divide it by 2. Base times height divided by 2, or half of the base times height. The same thing still applies if I took this other triangle, and I'm just going to draw this one real quick, and copied it. It would look something like this, right? And then if I wanted to, I could cut it here and take this blue triangle and put it over here, and then I would have this green rectangle. Okay, this is my original one, and then this one and this one together make another one. So it'll still be the same idea. The base here times the height there would give me the area of two of them, so I have to take half of that. So that brings us right here to our area formula. 1/2 base times height, or base times height over 2. And please notice there that the base and the height are perpendicular. Base and height are perpendicular. So just to draw in, sometimes the height is inside the triangle, like in this one here. The height is there. So this would be my base and this would be my height. Sometimes the base is outside the triangle, like here. This would be a right angle. So the base would be from right here to right here. And the height would be over here, outside the triangle. And then sometimes, particularly on right triangles, the two sides, this is the height and this is the base, because they already meet at a right angle. So sometimes you can just use the side length, but remember, base and height are always perpendicular, even if this is spun around some other weird way. So let's practice this. Find the area of each triangle. So this first one is not too bad. Remember, our area is 1/2 base times height. I'm remembering my base and height meet at a right angle, so I'm going to use the ones that are on either side of that right angle, so this side and this side. So 3 and 4, so that means my area is going to be 1/2 the base, which is 4, times the height, which is 3. Well, 1/2 times 4 is just 2, so I'm looking at 2 times 3. So the area is going to be 6. And remember, when we're talking about area, we're talking about how many squares will take to cover it. So my measurement is going to be inches squared. So the area is going to be 6 inches squared. Alright. Looking at this next one here, I'm looking for a right angle. I see a right angle right here. So I'm going to use the two lengths that are on either side of it. So particularly this length right here, which is 5, and this length right here, which is 10. So the area is going to be, I'll use the other one, base times height. I don't know what I'm doing here. Base times height over 2. Again, same formula, just looks a little different. So my base and my height, my base is 10. 10 times 5 divided by 2. 10 times 5 is 50 over 2. So that means it's going to be 25 centimeters squared. Okay, and this last one, I'm looking for a right angle in here. I see one right there. So my area, so I'm going to use the two sides of the other side. The height, which is right here, and the base, which is right here. So then, my area is going to be 1/2 6, which is my base from right over here, and my height, which is right over here, which happens to also be 6. So 1/2 times 6 comes out to be 3. 3 times 6 is equal to 18. This would be feet squared. 18 feet squared. Alright, if you haven't seen your homework, it's down there at the bottom. All your practice set plus 12 more of your choice. Good luck.